Joining us now is Dr. Christian Greer, the president and CEO of the Michigan Science Center, which is competing for the title of USA Today's Best Museum in the U.S. Dr. Greer, thank you so much for joining us.
Tyler, it's good to be with you. Good to see you again.
Good to see you as well. I appreciate having you come on. So currently the leaders in the USA Today's Top 10 Best Museums contest, the Michigan Science Center is number 2. It's surrounded by science centers and museums in the state of Ohio. And I say state in quotations because Ohio, why are we even giving notice to them? The number 1 currently, not for very long, is the Center for Science and Industry in Columbus, Ohio, a far inferior museum to the Michigan Science Center. And then number 3 is the Great Lakes Science Center in Cleveland, Ohio. And of course, Ohio is the place that invented stepping on Legos. So we want to make sure the Michigan Science Center wins this contest. Tell us about the Best 10 Science Museums contest through USA Today. And of course, there's going to be great promotion for the Michigan Science Center for being in that top 10, anywhere in that top 10. But what is the benefit of winning this contest?
Well, as you mentioned, Tyler, the benefits are really great, and it's an honor. It's really an honor to be listed among the top 10. The USA Today has a 10 best that they do in their travel section for lots of different things, for restaurants and for national parks and art museums and other kinds of cool stuff. But in the Science Museum section for the last 2 years, we have been nominated at the Michigan Science Center, and it's such an honor to be in there with so many great organizations that are bigger than ours. They have bigger budgets. They have all this, and we're right up at the top. And I have to tell you, I've gotten so many calls from my colleagues at COSI and at the Great Lakes Science Center that we work with in Ohio, and they're wondering just how we do it here in Michigan. But this is what we do. This is how we take care of business. So we were kind of going back and forth and fighting for number 1. We've been number 1 or number 2 for the last 3 weeks. And I have to say that that's exciting. Last year for 2021, we ended up listing as number 4. And I never thought we would get this high, so quickly. But we jumped up the ranks because of all of you out there that have been voting for us. We really appreciate it. And so what it does for us is it just raises our profile and lets people know that Michigan and our Science Center here is a force to be reckoned with nationally. And they get a chance to see all the cool stuff that we do. Like right behind me in the screen here is our planetarium. We have a planetarium, we have an IMAX theater, we have a 4D theater, our Toyota 4D engineering theater, we have a science stage. We have lots of cool things for people to see, and that's what makes us one of the top 10.
And so if people haven't visited other museums from this top 10 list or haven't even gone to the Michigan Science Center, what really makes the Michigan Science Center so unique, not just on a local level here in southeastern Michigan where it's located, on a state level in Michigan and regionally, but all across the U.S. and around the world?
That's a great question. You know, this is probably the 7th museum that I've worked in my career. It's been over 30 years, and I've visited tons and tons of science centers and museums because I'm just a geek about science centers and museums. I love the interactivity. I love the creativity in the way that they express and explain and communicate science, technology, engineering, and math. But the one thing I noticed when I showed up on my first day here is that we played music in the galleries. Now, that might be a small thing, but when you think about Detroit as being a music city, to be able to come in and like listen to music while you're doing science, that was kind of cool. And so I think what we do is not so much the what we do, because we do a lot of things that other science centers do. It's more the way we do it. We do it with flair, we do it with style, we do it with grace, we do it with excitement. And more than anything, we want to demystify science and put you at the center of it.
And so talk about some of that, some of those ways that the Michigan Science Center makes science fun, makes it interactive, because we've talked in the past about a number of different events, about a number of different exhibits that have brought that interactivity in, but whether it's a special event or exhibit or just a regular day at the Michigan Science Center, that's pretty commonplace.
Yeah, that's interesting the way you say that. And as I think about it, I would say that one of the ways that we approach it is how we approach teaching and learning. So, in the best environments, I might venture to say that you can't tell who's the teacher and who's the learner when you have that relationship around learning, right? Because we're, as teachers and as educators, we are trying to find the best way to communicate and be relevant and accessible to people in terms of the content. Because some of the content is kind of challenging. We talk about astrophysical concepts about whether there's dark matter in the universe or not, or we may just describe about mitosis and cell division, or we might talk about viruses and ways in which they might attack cells, healthy cells in the human body. All of this, the way I think to approach it that really works for us is we start with things that are cool first, and then we try to extract the science within them. So we don't necessarily take a topic like momentum, P equals mv, and to determine the momentum of a particle or an object or a car rolling down a hill. What we do is we start talking about cars. And when people are interested in cars, then they learn about the physics and the science and the technology and the math behind it. So Math Alive is an exhibit that we've had this year. It ends towards the the end of April this year. So you definitely need to come see it. It's an exhibit which starts with all the cool things in life and then teaches you the math. So that's the approach that we take in our informal science. A little different than K-12, which is more formal. There's no exams, there's no tests. We just want people to tap into their own innate creativity and intelligence and have fun while doing it.
And what's great is that you're participating in these individual programs that the Michigan Science Center is putting on itself, but also in national partnerships as well to bring in some of these different artifacts and these different exhibits to really give a broad scope of science and other concepts to the people of Michigan and those visiting Michigan and going to the Michigan Science Center.
Yes. As a matter of fact, this Sunday, this isn't open to the public, but this Sunday I'll be on site to meet with our Smithsonian partners. We have what's called a Smithsonian Spark Lab, which is a designated area in our facility that's dedicated to invention education and creating the inventive mindset and inventive spirit in all. And we will be meeting with them to talk about how we want to upgrade our space and do some fun things to get people excited about inventing things. If you think about it, this invention process is something that happens in your head a lot of times. You're in the shower or you're cooking or whatever. You think about an easier way to do something. You come up with an idea, and then you see it on TV, and you're like, wait a minute, that's my idea, right? Well, this happens every day, and we want kids to learn how to sort of capture those moments and ideas and develop processes to be able to take their invention potentially to market. So this is an important thing that, we're in a very inventive, heavy, part of the country that has a long history of different kinds of inventions, both in terms of products and processes. And it's a nice, fun thing to do. And so making those partnerships with Smithsonian as a Smithsonian affiliate, which we are, is a wonderful way to do that. I'll also mention just quickly, we also work with NASA, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration. Many people are familiar with NASA from the moon landings or the shuttle program, or even the work that NASA is doing with the brand new James Webb Space Telescope. James Webb was a NASA administrator during the moon landings in the process, and it's named after him. And hopefully that particular telescope, which is a space-based telescope, will discover all kinds of cool things. And we'll be bringing them right here to the Michigan Science Center and getting them out to you.
You can learn more about the Michigan Science Center, all their events coming up, and all their exhibits currently, as well as their 4D theater, by visiting their website at mi-sci.org. That's mi-sci.org for more information on the Michigan Science Center. We're joined by its president and CEO, Dr. Christian Greer, on the Michigan MegaCast. They're currently number 2 ranked in the USA Today's 10 best museums in the U.S., right just in between the Center of Science and Industry in Columbus, Ohio, and the Great Lakes Science Center, located in Cleveland, Ohio. And so have you been, Dr. Greer, to either of these museums? Have you been, let's start with, have you been to the Center of Science and Industry in Columbus, Ohio, a city that can best be described as getting a root canal on your birthday?
Oh, wow, that's rough. I've had a chance to go to both organizations. They are wonderful organizations, and many science centers are very similar, meaning most of them have some sort of big screen, theater, either a flat IMAX or a giant screen theater, or a domed. We have a domed theater, and what's unique about our theater is it's actually in the basement of our facility. You don't think about an IMAX theater actually being underground. So our physical presence, when you come by the Michigan Science Center, looks kind of small, but it's almost like a TARDIS, like a Doctor Who thing. It's bigger on the inside than on the outside because we're vertical. We have a 9,000 square foot special exhibit space where Math Alive is on the vertical, on the fourth floor of our organization. So with COSI, it's more spread out. So they have a planetarium theater like we do. They have an IMAX theater, and they also have banks of exhibit galleries. They're much bigger. They're probably 3 times the size of the Michigan Science Center. So there's a lot of room and a lot of space and great stuff to do. And I will say that we're a member of the Association of Science and Technology Centers. I serve on the board of that organization. It's called ASTC or ASTEC. And if you get a membership to an ASTEC affiliated organization and they're part of the Museums for All through AAM, you can actually get general admission to any of these other organizations. So guess what? Come down to the Michigan Science Center, get a membership, and you'll be able to use that to get to some of these other, Ohio-based science centers.
Right, and you'll be able to see for yourself why they're far inferior to the Michigan Science Center.
There you go, right? Tyler, I love it. That's great. Yeah, and Great Lakes Science Center is also a really nice place. They're in Cleveland, and they're right sort of on the lake next to the stadium. And so don't go there on Browns games days, but they have a wonderful, a connection with NASA as well. And they work with a local NASA center that's in their area, and they have a lot of space artifacts, and they do a lot of really great programs. And many science centers, we try to work together, honestly, to help each other. The rising tide lifts all boats, so we do a lot of things that try to raise the level of engagement and quality of STEM programming, and really to do community opportunities as well. So we have a community free day coming up with sponsored by Exalta, Ducks Unlimited, and the Great Lakes Land Conservancy. And it gives us an opportunity on March 20th, it's a Sunday, to be able to host these kinds of programs to get people from our community in. So many of the science centers do a lot of similar things, but what I like about ours is we're just a lot more fun. we try to make science exciting and interesting, and hopefully you walk out feeling like a genius, because you know what? We're all scientists deep down inside. We're all curious. And we have lots of questions, and science helps you find some of those answers.
Yeah, Michigan Science Center is a very fun location. They do have a lot of fun down there, and they provide fun, of course, for the community, not only in Detroit, but in all of Michigan, and for those that are visiting from places like Cleveland, where their city's favorite sport is playing soccer with an anvil. We're joined by Dr. Christian Greer. He is the president and CEO of the Michigan Science Center, number 2 currently in the rankings in the voting for the USA Today's top 10 best museums in the U.S. So when does this voting go through and go until, and how can people here in Michigan support the greatest museum in the entire country, the Michigan Science Center, which is for some reason ranked number 2? There's got to be an error there.
This is why I love the MegaCast, right? Because you just put it right on out there for everybody. This is really important for us in Michigan, I think, to have top-ranked organizations. This is one of the things that attracts tourism. It attracts families to come and move here. It attracts people to take new jobs at some of our great organizations and industry and companies that are ranked some of the best in the world. And the cultural scene is really important. So we're based in Midtown, and the Cultural District is a place where we have lots of cool museums, like the Charles H. Wright and African American History Museum, as well as the Detroit Historical Museum and the DIA for art, and several other organizations that are here, like the Scarab Club and the Carr Center, as well as the library. And we're all based in one area in Midtown. We're on the corner of John R. and Warren, and that's where our building is. And we've got ample parking for you to come down and check us out. But it's just a wonderful thing because we have lots of cool events. If I may just take a quick second just to talk about our Exalta Free Day. You may be familiar with the company Exalta that does coatings for various vehicles and cars. Well, this free day, which will be on March 20th, that's Sunday, it's coming up, its theme is Discover Magic. And we're hoping to have this free day or free general admission for Exalta. We'll be partnering with Ducks Unlimited and Six Rivers Land Conservancy for their support in helping us spark wonder and stretch the imaginations of of young learners. And the royal color, or the color, I'm sorry, for this year, the global automotive color of the year from Axalta is called Royal Magenta. Royal Magenta. So I'd love to get a brand new car with Royal Magenta. That sounds fantastic. But it's a majestic and radiant dark purple hue. And it has kind of a mysterious, appearance, something that you'd see in a Harry Potter type movie. And Royal Magenta is going to be the 2022 color of the year for Axalta. So we're very excited to talk about that. We'll have science demonstrations. We'll do various magic related activities like the tablecloth trick, in which you pull a tablecloth out from under some dishes in a place setting. We'll be talking about spectra in space and filtered light, disappearing water and how materials can absorb water. And I think we also have something called Math Magicians, and it's a lesson in using probability calculations to fool and trick the mind and the senses. So it'll be a lot of fun happening on Sunday, March 20th, our Axalta Free Day, Discover Magic.
You can learn more information about Sunday, March 20th, Axalta Free Day at the Michigan Science Center, and more about all their programs and events by visiting their website at mi-sci.org. That's mi-sci.org. We're joined by Dr. Christian Greer, the president and CEO of the Michigan Science Center. So if people want to vote for the Michigan Science Center in the USA Today's Top 10 Best Museums contest, and they do, how can they go about voting?
Well, it's pretty easy. Essentially, you can just do a Google search and to go to USA Today, 10 Best Science Museums for 2022. And it should bring it right up. You'll see all the different museums there, and you just select the Michigan Science Center. So again, go to a quick Google search to USA Today, 10 Best, the 10 Best Science Centers. We're currently ranked number 2, or actually when you vote for us, it may not show the rankings because towards the end, the rankings go dark, but before they went dark, we were at number 2. We hope to be number 1. You can help us get there. Again, search for USA Today 10 Best Science Museums for 2022 and go to the Michigan Science Center.
Dr. Greer, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.